Welcome to I almost said initial reaction. That was the old show. Alright, welcome to How Not to Draw Comics. Or How to Make Comics. I'll get it right. Third time's the try. Alright. We'll get all that in editing, I'm sure. Anyways, so today's sponsor is Longtooth, the comic I mentioned last time. It was a 24-hour comic that I later colored and made a cool cover for. Cool preview. There we go. It is on it is only on Drive-Thru Comics right now under Nil Gravity, but I have both comics, I have comics on Comixology and Drive-Thru Comics under Nil Gravity Publishing. Yeah, so this was a 24-hour comic challenge, and I was given 3 words, and I made the 3 words into a story that gets really crazy. But you have to be an adult to look at it, because there's a non-sexual nudity in it, and some pretty gory violence. So, alright, now that we got that out of the way, bam. Okay, so we are at Weight of Eternity, and you can just go to WOEthecomicseries.com and go on the archive, go to page 45, so it's easy to get here. Yeah, there's some stuff going on here. The lack of background isn't super obvious, but yeah, instead of creating problems for myself, I just decided to leave it blank. I do feel like I established well that this is, a party or whatever. Yeah, I thought it was funny to have this guy have a bunch of scrunchies in her hair, or his hair. I don't know why I said her. Yeah, I tried to make everybody's clothes different, so that's good. I made like a mesh shirt that you can see this dude's nipple through. So, not just female nipples. I was still doing the panda eyes, where, I don't remember how much of, I don't know what I think of that now, looking back on it. Part of me kind of likes it. Yeah, I'm not sure. So, okay, so there's Sarah, not kind of bored at a party, tired of sitting by the people making out, goes on the porch, and yeah, so that's how she meets Saul. Yeah, so you can tell the difference here between ink from a pen and ink from a brush. The ink from a brush came out way darker, so that's something we usually fix in Photoshop, which I'm sure I did. I just, as I explained last time, didn't bother that there. I still like the dialogue here. I thought it was pretty good flirtatious dialogue. It holds up pretty well. And then here's the transition. Takes a puff. Her eye starts to close a little bit, and then she closes on exhaling, and we reveal that she's asleep. Yeah. I really like these 2 drawings. Basically use the same panel again to emphasize for pacing purposes. There's some weird proportion shit going on here. Yeah, the drawing's a lot better on this page overall. I mean, that's not saying much, because look that there's all sorts of weirdness going on here. It's like all her bones are broken or something. Okay, so yeah, this is where he's just monologuing at this point. Proof that he's a bad guy. Alright, and then almost a snap out of a dream again. There's a knock at the door, and then she goes down and talk to this lady, the lady of the house who's bald. Lots of bald ladies. So at this point, I must not have had the idea that she was the firefighter from the beginning. Oh, wait. See, I remember that I added that dialogue. I think I came up with that later. So, yeah, I'm not sure. This middle drawing's okay. The eyes are kind of weird, but actually I kind of like all the drawings. It's alright. Yeah. I would complain about my own work less if I did this sort of thing all the time. So I gave her a bunch of necklaces. I don't know if anybody but Mr. T wears more than one necklace, but it seems to kind of work. She's supposed to be kind of a weirdo. Oh, and this is my big reveal. Yeah. So this is what the vampires are in my world. They're leeches, or they have leech tongues. So I don't know if anybody's ever been shocked by this, but you know, I was hoping that would be the big reveal that would mess with people. The color version actually looks really good. I did the coloring really nice on them from what I remember. Okay, now this surprised me. I could not believe it was this early in that I was playing with painting the series. At this point, it was either now or shortly after this that I started making the comic for the Tarquin engine. So you'll note, so the pages are going to be very square because square images work very well in the Tarquin comics, which I'll kind of show you later. So these guys are basically talking about how they messed up. They're trying to get home before dawn. And Glenn's being kind of despondent, not really interesting. Then there's this dude who's like a guard, and he's got a dog with him. That becomes more interesting later. The paper that I was painting this on was almost like an egg carton. It wasn't watercolor paper, so it was just stuff I found at the print shop. And some of the places I kind of like it, and other places it just, you know, it was something I was fighting that I shouldn't have bothered with. Yeah, I'm not sure how a lot of this mirrors up, so... Yeah, a lot of the thinking on this, when you read through, Glenn, he's like being quiet. It's so that way he doesn't give away anything. Let's see here, because it... Alright, yeah, so Saul's just reassuring him that they'll find some kind of lead. And then this is back. You can't see the little things too well, but this is supposed to be the submissive guy who's got the 3 piercings, so he's calling Saul. Look at that phone, that gives you an idea when I made this. He's calling Saul to let them know that she ran out of their house. So, like, basically, Ektep won't hold them responsible if she gets captured again. So, all of this scene is basically, I figured the character would be trying to make sense of things, and, you know, maybe it'd help the audience make sense of things as well. The drawing's not too bad. It's not, I mean, just as far as like anatomy and stuff, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with this, yeah. I don't know, it's kind of, it's not the best painting in the world, but there's like 2 different styles. This, I don't know, it looks like 2 different influences here, because this is real kind of cartoony and stuff, and then this is more like what I would think is sort of like my more standard drawing. But this is where we reveal that the reason she pulled a gun on that guy in the beginning is because she was under the influence of leech tongue. Yeah, even in the watercolors, I like the way that turned out. Okay, she's running for some reason. Yeah, she does. I don't know. I mean, I guess it makes sense that she'd be running. I like that I put in this panel where she's standing up. It kind of, I don't know, it adds something to it that I like. Okay, so yeah, this was originally designed to be the background in the comic, so you see all the panels, and then those are the guys going to raid it because she's staying with their friends. And then so I didn't even establish. So this is where I messed up here. Okay. So what I should have done is showed where she ran, have her interacting with her friends, being like, this is all the crazy stuff that's happened to me, and then they hear a knock on the door because there's like a shop downstairs. I kind of got the idea of this from, it's sort of, I don't know if it's an homage or a ripoff. I can't remember what I had in mind, but basically the scene from the original Ninja Turtles movie where April's got an apartment above the junk shop. Well, here it's above a tattoo parlor. And I'd actually called it Myra's Tattoos because when I was coming up with Sarah's tattoos, I was on the phone with my Aunt Myra to bounce ideas off of her about it. I don't know what she knew about tattoos, but she kept odd hours, so I was able to talk to her late about it. All right. Oh yeah, I might bring up a lot of aunts and uncles and stuff because my family's Catholic on both sides, so I have a lot of aunts and uncles. And I say aunts, not aunts. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, this is a nice little, it's still a solid enough drawing. It's kind of interesting because I recently did a book called, and recently I mean like within the last 5 years, I did a book called A Night on Ghost Island, and there's a sequel called Return to Ghost Island, and eventually I'm going to get around to doing the third book, which will be, I think, after Ghost Island is what I'm going to call it, because it's going to deal with the aftermath. And those are young adult books, so yeah, anyways, this is kind of funny. We're looking at nudity and stuff, and it's like, by the way, I also do kids books, but anyways. Okay, so she tells her friends to get on the roof because she's basically still when a leech, the idea is that when a leech drains you or feeds off you, they can also put something in you to make you stronger, so she's still kind of like jacked up, so she's gonna fight. So she's kind of like, if you've ever played Vampire the Masquerade, it's she's basically like a ghoul, and so there's some other ghouls that she's gonna fight, and she happens to be good at fighting. And one thing I always like to do, I still like to do this, is it's kind of annoying how like anybody who's a good fighter in a movie or something, it's like, oh, he's special forces or whatever. So I like to do stuff where people are good fighters for other reasons, or sometimes no reason. Sometimes people are just talented. So I still like a lot of this. Whenever I look at the fight scene, I get the Chateau song from the second Matrix movie in my head because I was listening to that on like repeat when I was drawing this, and I still like when I do fight scenes, I often listen to that. Yeah, so she's on the ladder putting them up there so they're out of the way, and then she jumps off the ladder, smashes this dude's face. Let's see here. Then yeah, I still have the problem of comics that are so light you can't tell what's going on. Like the background stuff was supposed to be light, but you lose her in here too. And actually, the elbow is not quite right, but the torso looks good. Let's see here. Oh yeah, this is kind of funny. So the guy's trying to pull her off of his friend, and she kicks him in the head while he's still down. And then she grabs the ladder, yanks it, and so the corner of the ladder hits him in the head. That would not feel good. One thing in my experience too with fighting is you don't necessarily have to incapacitate someone. A lot of people, you just have to put them through enough pain so they decide it's not worth it. So, and I made the bad guy sexist, because sexism is for bad guys. Yeah, I accidentally used too dark of an ink here where it knocks out his tooth gets knocked out. Oh yeah, here's that line I talked about last time where I grew up, or maybe it was in the first episode, I grew up the only girl of 17 boys. Never go into detail about that. So here she picks up the ladder, she whacks him in the face with it, and then it turns out that there's more guys. So I also another influence on like my fight scenes was I saw the original Korean Old Boy, and that just made me want to do fight scenes better. But I think I was always interested in drawing them very like detailed in a different way that I was like used to seeing. I don't know. I still feel like my fight scenes are kind of more grounded than usually what we see, because a lot of stuff it's just about showing like I don't know. I go back and forth on this. So some of these panels, because it was designed for Tarquin, we're not really sure how to read it, because normally we would read something like this. We'd go across and then come down maybe. I don't know. It's weird, but because I had to design these as squares, it becomes weird when reading it in print, because then we have to go here and then go to here and then here. And one way to fix that is with arrows, but like Art Spiegelman was talking about how that's like a cheat. So this must have been after I met Art Spiegelman. Yeah. Alright, let's see here. Yeah, so even though I made her a badass and she beat up like 4 or 5 guys at this point, there is one dude who's badass. I do sort of like this. Hold on, it's the previous. Yeah. So she runs at them with the ladder, using it as a battering ram. And this isn't really clear. Because the image just didn't work out, and I just kind of went with it, like, oh, whatever. It looks like she jumped super high. But what it really is that she ran, stepped on the bed, bounced off the bed up. But it didn't look right when I did it that way, so we don't know how she was able to jump this high. Is it because she's got that she's been enhanced or whatever temporarily? Okay. Anyway, so this guy just kind of calmly stands there, and at the last second he grabs the ladder and twists it so she goes flying over the rail. Yeah, and this is, I guess, happening simultaneously? I don't know. But anyways. Yeah, so, and then she flies over, and then you have to go way back over here. Alright. Some of my dialogue is pretty good. I like this. You better not have killed her. Relax, I see her still twitching. No punctuation, though. Okay. So here they're like carrying her out, and they brought her ladder with for some reason. Oh wait, I remember the reason. Okay. Man, a lot of this is like looks really solid. Like, every once in a while you can see Chris Bachalo influence. I really feel like was influenced by him. But I like this guy in the foreground. He looks good. I'm pretty happy with most of this. I wish Weight of Eternity, or not Weight of Eternity, Night on Ghost Island, I hope it looks this good, but it's so recent I can't really judge. Oh yeah, this guy, I forget what his name is, but he becomes late. When I was planning on doing a future book, which, like I said, I may eventually do still, he's gonna come back. He gets a big scar on his face later. Okay. So anyways, he wants to hit her with the ladder because she hit him. So he wakes her up before they stick her in the trunk of the car. Not my worst play on words. Rise and shine, time for your medicine. Pills. Kicks him in the nuts. And then, I've always loved this. Steps on the side of the ladder so it stands up. It opens. And then she throws one of the guys holding her onto the open ladder, so he's pinched in the ladder. I don't know how clear this is, but like I said before, I would love to see a movie made of this just because some of the fight scenes I came up with were fucking great. I see here that I tried to do a technique also where I made a dark background to make it stand out, and then I drew some of the background in with like a whiteout. It's not a terrible effect. That's an interesting trick, and I do not use that enough. So yeah, that's see, there's an M on the window for Myra's, and then there's a T for tattoos. So like I was saying, the M's interesting because it's almost identical to the M in the logo for a different book I did called Mental, which we'll do the prequel for of on this series. I'll have to do that soon because we're gonna run out of these. All right. Anyways. So she punches guy, then she gets hit, knocked out again. Oh, I remember I was so happy with Scrappy Little Cunt. And I don't know why I thought that was so funny at the time. Okay, and then we get we show her friend that it was supposed to be safe up on the roof with being snagged. Alright, and then okay, and then this is where we're revealing that she was so we go into this how she was captured by them, which we'll get into next time. It's kind of an I like the idea of it. It's very like I don't know. It's like something out of a Metal Gear Solid plot or something. I don't know. It's an interesting whole side event thing. So, but we'll check that out next time. Yeah, I don't have any great wait, what? Oh, I see. I went forward. I missed. Actually, we'll just go with it. Okay. So, yeah, what they're doing here is they're trying to figure out what they don't know so they can lie to Ektep better. Because which it's an interesting idea that I was exploring here, that they, in order to lie to someone effectively, you have to like know, you don't want to contradict yourself. So they're trying to suss out what actually happened and what didn't happen, and they're trying to figure out if he's I don't know. Actually, now that I think it's still an interest. See, the reason I'm struggling with this is because I have an interesting idea that I was using to cover up a weakness in the story. Which makes me wonder if that's what they do on Metal Gear, and that's why some of the Metal Gear stuff is so convoluted, where a simpler concept might have served the story better. You know, they try to cover their own stuff with, like, convolutedness, so, yeah, I don't hate this last panel either. It's kind of, I like how I use the silhouette in the painted style. Like, this should have been much darker, but it still looks kind of interesting, and I like the way the line looks. Oh, I should talk about this. This is a technique I still use sometimes, or a variation of. I use charcoal for the lines, and then watercolor on top of it, and I don't know, it just creates some interesting line qualities and stuff. Wow, this middle panel, holy shit, did I fuck that up. She looks horrible there. It looks like her nose is gigantic. It looks like a beak or something. I don't know, that's a horrible drawing. I'm not sure this character looks consistent on these. Kinda, yeah. But, yeah, I think that is interesting little take on, or an interesting idea that I only spent 1 page exploring, I think. I might have gone into more detail on it later, but when I see that we're already at page 75, I'm really surprised at how little of the story I actually like went into, as far as that goes. So, but it's kind of interesting to look at this totally different style of mine that I've been using. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. I'm not. I've been doing this so long, I forgot that it's not necessarily obvious. I mix ink washes and I mix watercolor together. And basically what I do is I'll use black watercolor if it's something that I might want to move or something, but if I want something to stay, I use ink wash, and then I can watercolor around or on top of it, and then it doesn't change very much, because once it's dry, it's in one place, but when you use watercolor, you can still manipulate it afterwards. So depending on what effects I'm going for and everything, that might be, or that's how I go for it. Yeah, so this one's kind of interesting to look at, because I don't, since it's mostly fighting, and like, I don't know, I really like this panel. If all my art looked like this, that would be amazing. Like, I'd feel, I mean, there's even a hints for a background back there that's nice, and this last panel's kind of nice too. There's something I like about it, even though this gets really lost. I don't really mind if stuff gets lost if it's not like an eyesore, or you know, you don't need to see all the details. You just need enough for your mind to complete it, because it's just psychologically how it works. So yeah, overall, this is not my worst effort. And it's interesting because I'm still using that same, you know, like I said, I'm not using watercolor paper. I just learned to paint on that egg carton paper that looked so bad on that first couple pages, but I really, you know, it looks a lot better here. So, and this is just like the best thing ever. Like, this would be such a horrible thing to do to someone. Actually, what would probably happen is the little bars that are there that hold the ladder open, they'd probably just break if you put your full weight on them the way they're not intended. But yeah, that would pinch like shit. Oh man, that would hurt. Anyways, so I have a feeling that this one's way shorter than the other ones I've made. But you should subscribe to my channel so that way you know when the next one comes out, because I've been inconsistent on when I make these, because it just depends entirely on when I don't have kids in my house making noise. Oh yeah, I forgot. How did I grazed past this one. Sorry. See, there's that little bar I was talking about. Yeah, I went into like ultra detail on that. And then on his face for the reaction. I pointed with my hand, which isn't helpful. Anyways, like I was saying, you should subscribe so that way you know when I make another one. And until next time, when I don't know where I was going with that. So that was awkward, and that's How Not to Make Comics Part 3.